Thank you. So we have a very special guest for our next session coming all the way from the UK to speak to us. So Pamela Spence, who is the Twinings herbal expert. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, lots of you out there in SOUPFEST will be very familiar with Twinings. You may even be having your afternoon cuppa right now. I mean, great product placement, Sharon, that you've got going. But look, we know that a great cup of tea can make a huge difference to your day. And really interestingly, Pamela is going to take us through tea and our emotions. So a few tips and show us 5 ways that your cuppa can make your day go better. So thank you, Pamela.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Great.
But we're just still talking.
Moving over to you.
Sorry.
Can you turn your video on, please?
My video's on.
We're just not seeing you in the list.
Yeah, my video's been on the whole way through. Hang on a second. Give me a second. There we go. Good morning.
Okay, we're off. Thank you.
Good morning, Australia, from the west coast of Scotland, where it is very early and I'm on my first cup of tea. I really enjoyed that last session. That was great. And I hope those products are available over here because they sounded amazing. So I'm going to talk to you this morning about tea and how you can make that, you make your cuppas really work for you. So I saw someone in the chat box who was talking about feeling really excited about going to get a cup of tea. And yes, that's great, because what I want to get across to you is that tea doesn't just have to be a boring old cuppa. There's loads of products out there. And if you're smart, you can use that to access herbs for well-being. And what that means is that you can start to improve your health by, oh, someone's having a peppermint tea. Brilliant, lovely. I'm on chai because it's that time of the day, but peppermint's how I end my day at the other end. So basically what I'm saying is, what I want to get across to everyone is that you can access this huge amount of herbal teas really easily, and you can use them to support your well-being. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to share my screen. If you just give me a second. I always like to say hello to people first of all before they see. Oh, someone else likes chai too. Yeah, absolutely. It's my complete favorite. And I'm just going to start my slideshow here. There we go. Okay, so 5 ways to make your next cuppa can make your day go better. So I'm the Twinings herbal expert. What does that mean? Well, that basically means that I'm an independent medical herbalist, and I work with Twinings to help them create all of their products, all of their hot infusions that have any kind of a well-being or a functional aspect to them. Okay, and I just want to say I can see your questions popping up, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait until the end, and I'm going to have a look at some of those questions and answer them. So keep popping them in there, and if they're herb related, then I'm really happy to go and look at some of those at the end when I stop screen sharing. Okay, so yeah, so a medical herbalist. If you haven't come across us before, there are some in Australia because I have colleagues out there. We're basically trained to about the level of a family doctor in terms of medicine, and we tend to see people in clinics. So we do one-to-one patient contact with people. And I certainly have a clinic myself here in the west coast of Scotland. I also teach a lot. I turn up in the media a lot as a kind of a herbal expert, giving, comment on products that have herbs in them, that use herbs in them. And one of the things I really love to do as part of my business is to help companies really create well-being products that actually do what they say. That's my big passion. So, my pet hate, if you like, is false promises and silver bullets. Luckily, there's not so many of those around right now, but we all know the ones sort of, drink this and look 10 years younger in 10 days. Not going to happen. But my real mission is to help people understand how herbs can benefit your health and how to access them in a safe way. Okay, and so I work closely with the Twinings teams right across the world. So I worked on projects with them in North America, in the UK, across Europe, and also with the Australian team. Okay, so let me just, there's a little bit about me. I'm going to skip past that in the interest of time. So my main demographic that I work with, I would say, are women in their anything from late 20s to late 40s, probably most often. And quite often what you see happening is that they are drinking caffeine, and they're using caffeine, if you like, in order to get in their energy to get through the day. And as they go through years and years of juggling family life and career and all the rest of it, what often happens is that the caffeine's just not cutting it anymore. So that can happen in one of two ways. Either you start to get caffeine sensitive, which means that when you drink coffee, particularly coffee, you get the jitters, what we call the jitters. So you can't concentrate very well. You feel a little bit shaky inside. It's really not a pleasant feeling, and it's very hard. It becomes very hard to concentrate. And so you're thinking, well, I can't do this anymore. But we often have an idea of herbal infusions that's several years behind what the market's got for us out there. And you're kind of thinking that, but herbal teas, they're a bit meh in terms of how they taste. And I'm here to tell you that so much work is being done behind the scenes to bring some really new products into the market that taste fantastic. And so what I want you to understand is there's really a smarter way to work those drinks. So maybe your choice of tea in the morning could be the key thing to help you relax, or maybe to stop stressing so much, or maybe avoid indigestion, or even going into that 4:30 in the afternoon meeting that you need to do, or that next Zoom meeting where you're thinking, oh my goodness, my eyes are so tired, like Coco was talking about in the last session, that can actually give you a bit of focus. And if I told you that they could boost your health, but they really don't have to bomb on taste, then I think that will be a win-win situation. So some of the things that the buckets that I'm often asked to help with, and Twinings did some research into this a few years ago, and happily these two things really married together. We're asked about helping people to calm, and that includes sleep. We're asked about helping people to digest, to detox better. Now, I would say your body detoxes every day quite happily by itself, but we can always improve that, and to defend as well. And so if we look a little bit closer at that, and to focus is still, to boost that focus. So calming means kind of, just taking a moment to breathe. And for some people, that calming will just be about going and making themselves their favorite cuppa. And it doesn't have to be a herbal tea. Sometimes just the action of going and making a really amazing cup of Earl Grey, or like I said, I have chai going at the moment. Going and making yourself a cup of chai is quite often the action of doing that is calming in itself. But if you could also harness what you're drinking. So we know that herbs have been used for many, many years to reduce feelings of stress, to calm feelings of anxiety, and you can drink them through the day. And some blends are specifically designed for helping you to sleep. Now, the thing with herbs is that they work with your body. They don't force your body. So these are not going to make you feel too sleepy or sedated in the middle of the day. A lot of people ask me that question. Digestion, absolutely at the root of good health. So if your digestion's not working properly, you can put all the product, you look at really great products for your skin, but essentially you need to change things from the inside. So poor digestion makes you feel rubbish. We feel sluggish and bloated. You might not sleep very well, but also it is going to have an effect on your skin, on your hair, on your nail growth, all of that. So digestion, really important. Detoxing, like I said, anyone who says you need help to detox, you don't really. Your body is doing it every day. Otherwise you'd be in the hospital. That would be quite a serious situation. But we can always improve on it. And so again, that's going to have a knock-on effect on how your skin looks, how your mood is. We now know that there's a huge link between your gut flora and how that's functioning, and your mental well-being as well. And there's a whole explosion of research into this area. Defense, well, wow, in the middle of a pandemic, now more than ever, I think people are understanding that we really need strong immunity. And so herbs are really useful as part of the plan to improve your defenses. And in terms of focus, if you're finding that you've already had your allotted number of caffeine, drinks in the day, and you need to try something else, where better to look for than herbs for to improve the blood circulation to your brain, to improve the oxygen to your brain, all of those things, really, really helpful. Okay, so let's look at those in a little bit more detail then. So, calming. Chamomile, I often say it's my desert island herb. So I know some people may think it's a little boring. I have to say it's not my favorite taste, but it's often used as a base for calming blends because it just works so hard. So chamomile, it supports your digestion. It gets rid of that anxious tummy feeling that some people get. It calms the nerves. It makes you take a deep breath. It's got a chemical in it called apigenin, and apigenin actually binds to receptors in your brain that help to promote the sleep cycle. And it's often used as a kind of a base for a herbal tea. And then what my job within Twinings is to sit with whatever the base is that's going to do the broadest amount of good in that herbal range, herbal blend, sorry. And then build on top of that with other herbs that work synergistically together. So we mix it with maybe, things like lemon balm, which is really great for lifting the spirits and calming an anxious tummy, or lime flower that can help you feel really soothed. If you're looking at sleep blends, so all calm blends could be used to promote sleep, but ones that are particularly made for sleep, look out for herbs like passion flower or orange blossom, because they're really the herbalist kind of secret agents. They really work hard to promote sleep in particular. So if you see blends with that in it, you know that you would be able to use that for sleep particularly. In terms of digestion, it's just not any fun when digestion's not working properly. We all know that. So things like peppermint, spearmint, fennel make a really nice combination. So you're looking to reduce nausea with any of the mints. You're reducing bloating with things like fennel. Ginger works really nicely here as well. And as you can see, these are also things you can just pick up in the supermarket and, or grow in your garden in pots and start experimenting. That's how I started out. So detoxing, we're looking at herbs like, burdock root and dandelion root. They make really lovely, chicory as well makes a really nice malty tasting drink. And that's just supporting your body to detox. So you detox through your digestive tract, through your bladder. And then if those are not working very well, your third detox pathway is your skin. So you can see why improving detoxing through the bowel and the bladder will really help to improve the skin. And interestingly, it's lemon tasting herbs that are really useful here. Lemon fruit in itself, lemon verbena, lemon balm, lemongrass. They're all used to detox, to help support this detox process. Defense, like I said, so vitamin C, we know all about that and the fact that it can help support your immune system. So you're looking for vitamin C rich things like rose hips and acerola, acai. I believe that's really big in Australia. And all the berry teas, which it used to be the case that berry teas were just about all you got for herbal infusions. Not so anymore, but they are still really lovely. And then warming things to heat the body up and help it defend itself. So ginger, cinnamon, chai is great for the winter time. I know you guys are having winter over there right now. Kind of feels a bit like winter in Scotland today. I have to tell you, it is freezing here. And ginger and lemon also really, we know these from childhood, these traditional things to help the body fight off colds. And herbalists use echinacea. Now you can see some products with echinacea in the market. In terms of focusing, well, of course, the herb, and we would claim it as a herb because it is a plant that's of use to people. We would claim coffee as a herb. That's the ultimate, really, isn't it, in terms of boosting your energy? But if you need an alternative, rosemary is amazing. It improves the circulation to the brain and therefore the oxygen to the brain. Really great for lifting the mood as well. Don't drink it in the evening, it will keep you awake. Cardamom is wonderful too. I used to chew on cardamom pods in class when the herbalists were all chewing on cardamom pods and passing rosemary essential oil to keep ourselves awake in our very long classes. Also, if you can tolerate some caffeine, green tea is great. And guarana is a bit of a herbal hero because it contains caffeine, but in a slow release form. So it's less likely to trigger those jitters that you can get. So where do you start then with all of this information? Well, I would say here's 4 steps to make it simple for you. Firstly, decide whether you want caffeine or you're completely avoiding it. If you're avoiding it totally, go for herbal infusions, but watch out for guarana. If a little bit of caffeine is okay, try green tea based blends. That's often used as a blend base as well. Decide on a couple of things, 1 or 2 things that you really need help with right now that you can actually track progress with. And so it could be around sleep or stress or digestion or concentration, whatever it is. Have a think about what's challenging you right now, and then go and try something that's aligned with that. And think about your taste profile. Think about the flavor combination that you completely love. Are you a berry person? Do you like herb infusions? Do you like those plant milk latte kind of blends? What's going to help you? Because the big thing about the work that people like Twinings are doing is they're making it really enjoyable. This is about enjoyable health. This is not about sacrificing in order to get some well-being bonus points here. It used to be like that. It's not like that anymore. And the other thing is, make it regular. So that's why I'm saying pick 1 or 2 things and concentrate on it. So you're talking like for a couple of weeks or more, drink this every day and you will start to see changes. If you keep flitting around and changing, that's great in terms of new experience, but it's not really going to help you to garner those well-being benefits. So I would say stick with it. Don't keep jumping around. 3 types of herbal blends we see. Single herbs, so you could go out there and learn the ways single herbs like peppermint or fennel or chamomile can help support your well-being, and then you just know you want to pick up a pack of that. Make sure it's really good quality though. New flavors, so we see a lot of exciting new flavors, new ingredients blended with a kind of familiar taste, so you can get a novel experience of things like baobab, I'm thinking of, and things like that come from way across the world that are really exciting and that have been sustainably sourced, which is important. You're getting a novel experience, but you're not having to take a big risk, because let's face it, a pack of tea is not a lot of money, and you're getting to taste it in a way that's probably quite familiar to you. So that's a great way to experience new things. And the functional blends, which is really where my work certainly comes in for Twinings. So look out for blends with names that suggest to you what they're going to do. So sleep and detox and digest, for example. They've been formulated, if a company's working with a medical herbalist like me, they've been formulated without guessing. They've been formulated to take the guesswork out of it for you and to make it really easy for you. So I hope that that's given you, gosh, that's been a whistle-stop tour. That's given you some ideas of ways that you can harness the power of herbs in your next cuppa, and just get into the way of doing that. And if you are a bit of a caffeine junkie and want to change, just swap a couple of teas a day. Just try something new. I have got a downloadable resource around this this presentation that I've just done. So if you head over to my website, which is up there, pamelaspence.co.uk, or go to my Instagram, Pamela Spence Herbalist, and I've got the links there, and you are very welcome to download that resource there that will give you some more information. So I am just going to stop sharing my screen so that you can see me and I'm not hiding behind. There we go. Can you see me? Great. So I can see there are a lot of questions. And I should say, if we don't manage to get through all of the questions, which I don't think we're going to see the number that are there, what we will do is we'll follow up on this afterwards. Okay. So somebody's asked, is there a herbal tea you would suggest drinking while working on a night shift? Ooh, now that is a tricky one. What you need to think about is the balance between being awake enough for your night shift and being able to wind down in the day. So I would say that drinking caffeine, too much caffeine during a night shift would be quite a tricky thing to do, because at the other end of that shift, you're going to have to be able to wind yourself down and get yourself into a sleep state. So taking your caffeine or your boost in a more gentle way would be really handy for you, I would suggest. So look out for things like using green tea as opposed to coffee. Look out for things like rosemary. So you can even, if you can grow rosemary at home, you can even just take a couple of strands of the fresh herb and shove it in a mug and pour some hot water on it. You can drink that hot or cold, and you can put it into a flask and carry it with you. So anything that, anything like rosemary, cardamom, You could maybe go for things with some ginseng in them, but I would stick away from coffee. And then what to do is, as you go through your night shift, as you're coming towards the end of it, try to step away from any caffeinated drinks at all. So things like, rosemary would be a good one there. So you could use like caffeine at the beginning of the shift and pure herbal infusions, no caffeine towards the end, because it's really important that you wind yourself down, because you're already fighting that fact that you don't have the darkness to help your natural sleep processes. And chamomile as a base or on its own, as you're leaving work, maybe as you get home, would be really great. That would be a really great one. I can see someone saying green tea with mint. You love it for an upset tummy. Yeah, absolutely. Because the mint is one of the key, any mints at all. There are lots of different mints out there, but they will all help support your digestion. So let me just see, have I got time for, I think I'm not sure I have time for another question. Okay, one quick one. What tea would you recommend for when feeling stressed? So anything around chamomile, lemon balm if you get anxious with your stress, anything with a soothing base. Look for functional blends that have soothing names. So the functional blends, they will have a name that will tell you a little bit about what they're going to do for you. Like I said, if you're buying from a company that's going to be working with a herbalist and they're not just guessing at it. So look for a chamomile base and things like rose and lime flower and things like that. And I think, guys, I'm so sorry, but I'm out of time. I'm really happy to catch up on those after the session. So what I'm going to do is hand you back to Sharon and Katie, and thank you so much for having me.
Pamela, thank you so much for that amazing talk. I think I certainly learned a lot from it. I can very much relate with the post-2 coffee jitters. So I think that it's great to see that there are other options for us to be able to support and also to complement our mood. Thank you very much for presenting it to us.
Yes, and sorry to everyone out there, we are running a little bit over time because we have so much in the sessions to cover. And I know that session, there's so much in there and there's so many questions that we haven't been able to answer. But I think, as Pamela said, we really want to get back to everyone as much as possible on that.
Yeah.
But on that, we also, at the same time, you have been very active on Facebook, which is great, in terms of what's your perfect tea afternoon combination. Pixie here has the dream of every cup of tea tastes better, accompanied by some uninterrupted adult conversation. That is the dream, isn't it? We have Karen, I like my tea to be herbal, love a peppermint and a muffin for afternoon tea. So hopefully you all got to enjoy at least a cup of tea whilst we were talking about tea and herbs.